newspaper tear. Now, most newspaper tears, there's a lot of great newspaper tears up there that satisfy different things, but a lot of them, you pull the newspaper out like it's some sort of sacred artifact the Nazis were trying to get so they could take over the world, and then you tear the newspaper, and then you restore in a flash restoration, which almost looks like a substitution, and then you take that newspaper, which is a cheap disposable object, it's got a half-life of 24 hours, and then you carefully hide it away because, let's face it, most newspaper tears, there's something hanky going on in the newspaper. You can't give it away. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to do a newspaper tear in the same way we do a torn or restored card? So, aha, more. Okay. This uses a regular newspaper. Again, I just brought a stack of these. I could have had the kid go run outside and go grab a newspaper if he wouldn't have got mugged and shot. Instead, I bring my own. It works best with tabloid newspaper sizes, okay? It can be any thickness. Sometimes I'll like get rid of a section, I'll hand it off to them. So I'll like, oh, let's look through here, like, oh, you know, here's what's biting. Okay, so you might want to, a lot of newspapers aren't this thick, but I mean, you know, fishing is just so damn interesting in Florida, apparently. They aren't this thick, but it doesn't really matter. I'll show you the basic method on this. And it was, Jim Steinmeier had this great idea of how to make it look like you were tearing the entire newspaper while only tearing a small part of it. And for me, what I want to do is take that method and make it impromptu and allow you to do a signature. So we take a newspaper, and I've done this walking down the street, pull it out of a newspaper stand, and done the whole effect, and sometimes even for other people. So you take a newspaper out, and we'll use a signature. Here's my signature. This is mine's in a box, not a circle, okay? It's the Andrew Mayne A. We take the newspaper, we have the person sign it, okay? Now what I need to do is, once I tear up the newspaper, we know the effect is finished and complete when we see that signature again. And so I can't obviously tear that up unless I prearranged it. So newspaper's totally unprepared. They've signed it, they've inspected it, they've looked for it, you know, they have no idea what to look for. It's not like I'm going to give them a copy of Tarbell's and tell them what page to turn to. Anyhow, I take this and now I go and I turn it inside out. Now you can use this with different size newspapers. You can use this with magazines. It works a lot of different ways. You want to tear it in pretty much on the crease. So I'm going to fold this over, give that a crease there. So I've turned it inside out. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to pretend to count to the middle. I'm actually going to only just count 2 pages, and I'm going to keep pretending to count towards the middle like so, but I'm just going to stick my finger in here and I'm going to keep tearing the same section over and over again. This is what I'm really doing. I've got these 2 pieces here. I'll show you from back here. My finger goes here. I tear that. When I tear this, if I get a nice clean tear, I've got these spread apart, and then I bring them in front, like so. This is the rest of the newspaper. This is just the same 2 sheets. It's much more fun when you do it along with me, but you can live vicariously through my own experience right now. I take this, and I'm going to fold it towards me, okay? So that original 2 sheets, which are now how many sheets? 4, kids. 4. You rip 2 sheets in half, what do you have? Congratulations. Okay, so I have that. I have those 4 sheets now wrapped around there, okay? And I turn this like that, stick my finger in there, and it's, if you fold it like that, you really can't rip that with your finger because it's like hard. I rip that, and I tear. How many pieces? 8, all right. I'm going to fold this again, and basically get it down to this size. You can keep going a little bit smaller if you want. So now I'm at here. Okay, and I spread these out. If you want to freak your audience out a little bit, spread them apart like so, and so clearly you've torn this up. Now you don't want to flash that too much. I mean, that doesn't really look that bad, but this is the rest of the newspaper there. So I've torn them apart. I've got these pieces here, and you can mix them up, whatever. Now I'm going to push them back together, and my thumbs are going to mess up the regular newspaper, the intact paper, so that when I flip this over, it just looks like a bunch of torn newspaper pieces, okay? So I can show you both sides. There's nothing to do. I just wave it in your face, you know, nothing to see, okay? Now, my left hand is going to grab the front, which is going to be the intact section, while my right hand is going to grab these pieces and crumple them up into a small ball, okay? This is all I have left, is this. that's the evidence. And I just got to get rid of that. And there's several ways to do this. If you're wearing a jacket, you can actually just put this in your hand here, hold open your jacket and say, oh, let me grab a pen or tape or whatever, okay, or scratch myself, whatever, okay? If you have a jacket, it's very easy to get rid of it. I used a fake out as I had it palmed in my hand. I go, oh, does anybody have any tape? And I reach into my back pocket, and then I do a kind of pretend like pull my hand back out, which it's empty, and then I do the same thing here and this. And people are waiting for you to do an addition, but you're not. You're just getting rid of a small section like this. So it's in my back pocket. And it's not too bad. The pants are really baggy there. I was painting earlier today. Just if you're wearing really tight jeans, maybe not the best thing, okay? If you want to have kids. So now that I've gotten rid of those pieces, and you can do that several different ways, ditch them in your back pocket, whatever. You come back here and you crumple this up. You keep crumpling this up as if the magic hasn't happened yet. And then you look very impressed with yourself when you get to this point. Yeah. Show myself, okay? Keep crumpling it. And like, one of my favorite performers is Doug Henning, because Doug Henning could do the simplest magic trick, and actually, when you looked at him, you thought he believed it was real. You know, he could be like doing a ball vase trick, and he'd be like, whoa! And that was like impressive. You know, I use that right now. It's like I convince myself that I'm really doing this with my mind, that I really have magical powers. And yes, I know how sad that sounds. So, compress, 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 compress. And then I start to unfold it. I let it start to unfold, like so, like this. Now you start to see order. Before you had a bunch of torn pieces, it was chaotic. Now you see the order start to apply. And I start to smooth it out, and people can see that the newspaper appears to be intact. And then I open it, I get to here, no more torn pieces. And then there are several reveals. This is the first big reveal is when it starts to get some order. The second big reveal is when you go to here, because they can see the newspaper's intact. Now I'm going to go find the middle, which is actually the outside. I'm going to straighten the newspaper out, and then close it with the back over that. And then go through the pages like that to show that it's real. And then I get to the final thing, which is the front, and I go to the audience and say, I had somebody sign their name. Is that your signature? And that's a great applause cue to have your hands up and to be theoretically. Okay. And then the best part is you know, you hand it out. Now the first time I did this for a group of magicians, I did the tear, I did all this, and then I hand it to somebody, hand it to a magician, and I go, there you go, and you can inspect it. And he goes, I'm like, no, really, you can inspect it. He's like, you know, thinking that I was like trying to make him into a stooge because he was going to find like a big clump of pieces of newspaper.